a huge increase in recent years of after-school facilities, and many of these services are provided either on the school campus or in conjunction with a nearby creche or preschool, and it enables the children then to go there after school, do their homework, engage in activities, maybe get a meal or whatever, and it's good for all involved. It allows the parents then to continue working till 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. However, the problem has emerged where children with additional needs face significant barriers accessing after-school care. And I suppose this was brought to my attention by a parent of 5-year-old twins who are both autistic, and they're about to start school in September. And when she sought admission for them into an after-school facility, in proximity to the school they'll be attending, she was met with reluctance. So I attended a meeting with her and met with the manager of the facility and the board of management. And I suppose their reluctance to accept the children was well-founded, in that their concern was for the safety of all the children that will be using the facility and for the staff that were there. So the children will be attending primary school, but they'll be part of an autistic class. And so the ratio is 6 children to 1 special education teacher, and with 2 SNAs in the room. And then they will be going to an after-school facility where the ratio is 1 to 12. No additional supports, significantly larger number of children, twice as many, and only 1 staff member, and a staff member with no training in this area as well. So I did inquire with other after-school providers to see, was this the case? Are there any other supports available for after-school providers to include children with additional needs? And they told me no, there aren't. And they're very willing. Every one of them that I spoke to is very willing to undergo training, to get training for their staff, so that they can include the children, but they really feel that they would need a reduced ratio or additional staff, different support staff. Now, I then was in contact with an after-school provider in Monaghan, who does provide a specialised after-school service. Well, I should say it's a mainstream service, but includes children with additional needs. And this provider identified this need because she was saying there were parents who couldn't work because they had nowhere for their children to go once the school day finished. And so she worked closely with the HSE and with the CDNT in Monaghan. And it's a planned service which integrates the children, into the mainstream setting. So it's not segregated, it's inclusive, but it is providing the supports that a child needs. And it's building the capacity of the children within that service. It's working with the CDNT. It's providing some of the services that the CDNT provide. So, it's benefiting those children. It's benefiting all of the children. So I'm just wondering if a model like this could be looked at for other areas of the country. Maybe begun on a pilot basis to see would it work. As I said, it needs to be planned and ensure that there's systematic integration. It's not just putting children with additional needs, some of them quite complex, into a mainstream setting and just see how it works. It needs to be planned. It needs to be, as I said, systematic integration, and the supports put in there to ensure that all are safe and that all works really well. I suppose another point that was made to me as well is that most after-school services provide services for primary school age children up to the age of maybe 13, but children with additional needs may require services over that age, so maybe up to 18, especially if they're in a special school setting, and require this service. So even to incorporate that into it. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator. Minister.
Thank you very much, Las Cahirlock, and thank you very much, Senator Tully, for raising this important issue and offering me the opportunity to respond. I too welcome the increase in overall after-school facilities, and many of our communities have benefited from them. And I'd like to commend the work of the childcare provider in Monaghan that you mentioned. I wasn't aware of them, and it sounds like they're definitely doing a lot of innovative and proactive work in this space. And it would be a great opportunity, I think, for other childcare providers and other regions to learn from. The Access and Inclusion Model, AIM, is a model of supports designed to ensure that children with disabilities or additional needs can fully participate in the Early Childhood Care and Education, or the ECHE preschool programme, and therefore they reap the benefits of quality early learning and care and of realising the opportunity to reach their full potential. AIM provides a suite of universal and targeted supports across 7 different levels. Measures include staff training, specialised equipment, appliances or capital grants towards minor building alterations, therapeutic supports and the facilitation of a lower ratio of children to staff in preschool rooms, as you've mentioned, or funding for an extra staff member as a shared resource where a child with additional needs is present. A core feature and strength of AIM is that it does not require a diagnosis. Instead, resources are allocated based on a child's individual needs. Over the last 10 years, more than 41,300 children in over 5,000 settings nationally have received AIM-targeted supports, and many more children have benefited from universal measures enhancing inclusion in their service. AIM is presently being extended on a phased basis as funding becomes available. So as a first step in this extension, all AIM-targeted supports are now, since the beginning of September just gone, or September 2024, available to ECHE children beyond the time that they spend in the ECHE programme, both in term and out of term. So children can now access these supports for up to 6 hours a day, both inside and outside of the ECHE term. The Programme for Government commits to examine and expand the access and inclusion model and make it available to younger children. And officials in the department are currently considering the policy implications and the appropriate mechanisms to extend AIM to children under 3. Consideration will be given at a later date to an extension of AIM for children attending school-age childcare. So I know that's the cohort you're particularly interested in today, Senator Tully, and such an extension would also require a redesign of AIM to ensure that it meets the different needs of children in the older age cohort. Equal Start is another key policy model which focuses on inclusion. And Equal Start is a funding model and a set of associated universal and targeted measures to support access and meaningful participation, including in school-age children, for children and their families who experience disadvantage. Since September 2024, 806 priority settings serving 38,000 children have been receiving funding to support reduced adult-to-child ratios and the greater engagement with families, as well as other child and family support services. And of these, over 450 settings provide school-aged childcare services. As you said in your contribution, Senator, a full extension of this to school-going children would need to be planned and would need systematic integration. And that's something that we will be looking at on a longer-term basis.
Senator.
Thank you, Minister. Yeah, look, the AIM programme is excellent. It's excellent for the preschool children, and it is something like that would need to be extended into the after-school provision as well. Because I mean, the manager I met with has there's a creche and preschool facility on site there, so she's familiar with AIMS, and she said that's the sort of support you need for the after-school. And I mean, she wants to include, for example, the twins, and I'm sure there are many more other children who would love to be included in the after school. I think it would be beneficial for them and for other children indeed as well. But they feel, that it's a safety risk, especially maybe if one of the children is a flight risk, for example. So to have the number of staff who can keep an eye at all times and all of the children within their care, if there's 12 of them there, it's very hard to watch that. So, I mean, if this could be rolled out very, very soon, it would be really welcome. The after-school providers would really welcome this. They want to be inclusive, and they feel at the moment that they can.
Thank you very much, Senator. The Programme for Government has committed to an expansion of AIM and to its extension to younger children. And the current phase of expansion focuses therefore on the development of a model for children under 3 to meet the specific needs of this particular age cohort. It is intended that over time, all children with additional needs registered in early learning and childcare services will have access to support under AIM, with consideration to be given at a later date to extending AIM to children attending school-age children. So that would then benefit the twins that I know you're working to support. It would also require a tailored evidence-based model for this particular age group. It's critical that both the needs of these policy responses will be strongly evidence-based and reflective of the needs of the children, and that will require the tailoring of AIM, the access and inclusion modelling, and differentiation of approaches for each of the 2 separate age cohorts. So just to conclude, an action plan is underway in the department to address many key improvements, and 3 notable steps already achieved in this regard that you may be interested in are the publication of introductory guidelines for the inclusion of autistic children in early learning school-aged childcare and childminding settings. That's happening in collaboration with As I Am. The second is the recent launch of the updated Link, or Leadership for Inclusion in Early Years Inclusion Coordinator Programme, with a focus on the needs of autistic children and the development of supplementary continuous professional development materials. The third is the rollout of Equal Start, which, as I referenced earlier, is a key policy model which focuses on inclusion. And Equal Start is the funding model and a set of associated, universal and targeted measures to support access and meaningful participation, including for school-aged childcare for children and their families who experience disadvantage.